I know exactly why you clicked on this video. You want to see what I think about Jak 2. You also probably don't know who I am. That's fair. No one does. My name is Cosmo James, and I like to talk about pop culture and complain a lot. But what's new? It's the internet, right? I like to talk about video games, movies, anime, comics, anything nerdy really, I'll talk about it. So, if you're interested and you want to hear more, please like, subscribe, and comment. It would be much appreciated. So, let's get on with this review. It's not the first time playing this game, actually. This would be actually the third time going through this Jak 2. I can't remember the last time I played it, and if I did, I would probably date myself. So let's just say it's been a while. I played it the first time, I liked it. Second time, I liked it still. But I guess we're gonna find out, does it hold up for the third time? It's been a while, and a lot of games have come out since then. So let's see if this one holds out. I'll start off with give you somewhat of a summary of the story. Not much, just a little. And I'll give you a little bit of the characters. I will leave the wiki, the Jak and Daxter wiki, in the description so you guys could check it out yourself. I'm not gonna go in detail on anything because this isn't that type of review. This is a video game review, not lore and characters. So I'll let you look more into it. It's worth it. I like it. So I think you'll enjoy it. Look more into it. Trust me. You play as Jak and Daxter. Jak being the kid with the yellow hair and long ears. Daxter being his little friend, the orange ocelot. He's a otter weasel type of creature. Funny enough, Daxter wasn't an ocelot. He was actually human, but I won't say what or how that happened. I'll let you look that up. The story starts off with Jak and Daxter going into this portal, being transported into this desolate, rundown city, getting captured, Jak that is. Him being tortured for roughly a good some years, Daxter saving him becoming a huge edge boy, really edgy in this game. You get let go, you fight with the freedom fighters to try to see what is happening to this city. Your goal is to free the city and get back home. That's pretty much the sum of this story. I won't say much. Like I said, look it up. Now, let's move on to the good, and then I'll move on to the bad. First up, good. The art style. I like the art style. It holds up for the age. It is a PS2 game, so it has some wear and tear to it. But all in all, it holds up. That's the thing about good art style. Art style could actually live up to even years from now. This game is roughly 20 years old. Ugh. About 20 years old. And it still looks pretty good for its age, crazy enough. It's nice to see how far a art style could come to it. Character-wise, I liked all the characters. Jak and Daxter is still fine, even though Jak is a little edgy for my taste. But he does simmer down later in the series and later in the story. He does start simmering down. Daxter is, well, it's Daxter. He's wisecracking. He's somewhat a womanizer when you think about it, but he's so adorable that it doesn't really faze you much. But they're both fun. They bounce off each other very well, and it's interesting to hear their banter. Side characters are fine, nothing crazy or anything like that. Enemy wise, not enemies. Bosses, not bosses. I guess you could say enemies. Antagonists in this story are they're good. They're kind of paper thin, but they're memorable enough to remember and stuff like that. Let's see what's next. Level design. Level designs are actually good. They all stand out from each other, so it doesn't feel like they're repeating. I think that's the problem with some games. Levels and level designs and stuff like that really repeat themselves. Not in this game though. They do have similar patterns, like get to point A to point B, or beat all these enemies in a certain time, or get out of here before it explodes. But every single level design or mission is different enough that it doesn't feel like you're repeating yourself and you get bored or it's tedious to do. So that's pretty good. Difficulty wise, yeah, this game doesn't hold your hand. It might show you where to go, sure, but let's just say Jack is paper thin. Can't really take a hit. 2 to 3 hits and you're dead at points. And some of these enemies are ruthless when they come down to it. And some of the missions also pretty much you got to be a bit more precise. There's no wiggle room to get some of these missions wrong. But luckily enough, they're tough but fair. None of these missions or difficulty in this game feels unfair. It's challenging for sure, but you could tackle it different ways, and also it doesn't bog you down on certain things. So that's a good thing about this difficulty. You don't really see this type of difficulty anymore. Usually it's too easy or too hard. This is right in the middle where it doesn't baby you. And that's, well, you don't see that often anymore in video games, sadly. The story's fine. It's fun. It's a fun romp. It ain't gonna mind blow. It's not mind blowing. It's a video game story, so I don't expect anything crazy. It's kind of tropey. It doesn't take itself too seriously, so that helps a lot. But I won't say much other than that. Again, pick it up. The gameplay is fun too. Like I said before, with the difficulties and the level designs, you're all over the place from hopping, jumping. It's Mario. Mario Light, when you think about it. Platforming is solid. You got gameplay to mix it up also. You got so many different ways to do things and missions and stuff like that it keeps you on your toes, because as I said, no mission is quite the same. Sometimes you're racing, sometimes you have a hoverboard, other times you're shooting or you have to run. It's a good mix of everything. Music is fine. It doesn't really stand out, but it is good for the atmosphere or anything like that. I would want listen to it in the background if it's on YouTube and stuff like that. It's fine. Nothing crazy. Usually Sony games back in the 2000s didn't really have stellar music or anything like that. It was fine. Usually if you want to get some good music, you go to Japanese games. Definitely. As I said, with the difficulty, there is no hand holding, and one of the best things in this game, that I have to say this because a lot of games don't do this anymore, is it does not railroad you. It is practically a open world game like Grand Theft Auto. So if you see a mission, you could go to it. Usually you have 4 missions at a time, and you can pick any 4 missions to go to. Yes, you do have to finish those 4 to unlock more missions, but you could tackle any of those 4 any way you want. And that's actually really nice. It's nice that the game could just let you do what you want to do. Sure, you need to go to these places and do these missions, but it's nice that you could do it at your own pace instead of the game forcing you to do these things, like a lot of games nowadays do. Ugh. Good repetition. Doesn't ever get bored. As I said, with difficulty and gameplay wise, you want to keep playing. Actually, you do want to keep playing. You do 1 or 2 missions, and you get to the point like, man, maybe I could do 1 more. Okay, 1 more. All right, maybe after this one I'll stop. All the missions are fun, and you want to keep learning more about the story and the characters and explore the world. And that's it for the good. Now let's move on to the bad. Graphic wise, I say the art style is good. Graphic wise, it did kind of age like spoiled milk. Oh, not as bad as spoiled milk. It aged. You could see the wear and tear from a PS2 to, well, PS5 nowadays. You could tell the clipping, the backgrounds are not the sharpest. Certain areas are pretty lackluster and dull, but it's not the worst, but it's not the greatest in graphics. Let's just say it's no Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War type of game. So you will notice these things. Control wise, the gameplay is fun, but the controls are, yeah, they're a little clunky, unresponsive at times. Not enough to, get you frustrated, but enough to, get you killed at times. I think that's the problem with some of the controls. They're unresponsive and, well, yeah. Open world, it's like it's Grand Theft Auto Light. The thing is, the open world is okay to subpar. It's not hard to traverse, and that's one of the best things. Is once you know where you need to go, you could get there. You won't get lost, but it's not something you really want to explore. It's there. That's really about it. You to get to point A to point B. It's also way too cluttered at times, and that really does hurt you. Difficulty, even though I said that difficulty is fine and fun at times, like I said, Jack is paper thin, and that really hurts at times, especially when you have five enemies coming at you, and each of them do around 2 damage each, and your response time isn't all that great with the control wise. So yeah, other missions will give you save on certain points, but then there's also missions that will make you do the level all over again. A bit frustrating, not impossible to do, but kind of wavering on the difficulty. Like you wanted to take it, the game wants you to take it easy on you, but other times it doesn't want to take it easy on you. Get what I mean? Boss fights, lackluster. Again, Sony has always really been okay with boss fights back in the PlayStation 2 era. You want to good boss fights? Play some JRPGs or Japanese games. They're nothing to write home about, but they're all right for boss fights. Mini games, mini side quests. There's mini side quests that they're not the main quests or anything like that. Just random markers that you could do missions. They're uninspiring. They're okay. They feel like filler, if anything. Sometimes you blow up things. You have to kill something fast. Sometimes you have to find certain items fast or do tricks with your hoverboard. You get precursor stones you could use to unlock stuff. But it ain't nothing to write home about. You all honestly could just move past it. Don't even do them. They're just there for filler, and the filler is not that great. Cars, ugh. This is actually one of the things I have to say I do not like about this game a lot. The cars. It's nice to be able to drive fast and get out of the way and get to certain places a lot faster than others, but it sucks when the cars are even weaker than Jack himself. All I'm gonna say is if you do play this game, don't get the hoverboard. Just go with the normal hover car. Hoverboard, I mean not hoverboard, hover car, the hover bike, sorry. The hover bikes are, let's just say if you're fast enough and you hit something, you'll explode. If something hits you fast enough, you're gonna explode. If you hug a turn and you get the edge, you're most likely going to explode. If you land in an awkward position, you'll explode. Let's just say the hover bikes are not that great. So stick to the hover cars and you'll be all right. They're bigger, sure, but they could take way more hits, and you'd rather have that than a bike. The mobility on the cars and bikes are okay. They're passable. They're not as bad as Grand Theft Auto 3 driving. Ugh. But they could be way better for what they are. The hoverboard you get, as I said before, is fun to use, and you could pull it out anytime you want once you get it unlocked. And it's a little faster than walking, but it's wasted, honestly. You don't really need it or use it. You sometimes use it for certain missions, but it's really just there. It feels tacked on, but not the bad kind of tacked on. More like it was a fun idea to put, and they decided to put it in the game, and that's really about it. Few of the mini games, mini games, not the side quest mini games, mini missions, mini games, are random. They're far from few in between. There's about four or so, but they're not horrible, but they're really random and weird. And usually the mini games are with Daxters. They felt like it was obligated to do these mini games. Otherwise, see. Oh, I already said the bad mechanics. I'm looking at a list because I need a list here. Ending. Let's go with the ending now. Ending wise, I think it has the problem like most video games with they want to do stories, or most video games back in the early 2000s when they were trying to do more cinematic and stories. It just ends. That's about it. It just ends. It's not a bad ending. It just feels like, okay, this is the end. Okay, bye. And the story, even though it's interesting and it's a good romp and it doesn't take itself too seriously, it is pretty clunky at times. There is also some contrivances here and there, not enough to make you go like, again, it doesn't take itself too seriously, so it doesn't take you out of the story. But we are dealing with time traveling, so yeah, don't think too hard about it. Even the game lampshades that. So again, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but the story isn't the greatest. And to some people, even though I don't think it really hurt it, the game might be too short for them. The game ran me about taking my time without doing these side mini missions, roughly 13 hours or so, but I've seen it beat leisurely around 8 hours, so take that what you want. It doesn't the good thing about this game is it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it's not too short that you kind of like, oh, that's it. It's just right in the middle. Sadly enough, there is no New Game Plus, so right. But that's it for the bad, actually. So it's time to do my rundown. With the good and the bad, let's do a rundown. All in all, I like Jak 2. I still like it. It's still a pretty fine game. The thing is, there is some glaring problems with it. It's a time capsule. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a time capsule of everything that was in 2000 of video games. From Tony Hawk to Mario, from Ratchet and Clank to Grand Theft Auto. It is like a hodgepodge of every single idea and mechanic from every other game put into one. And you would think it wouldn't work, but it does. They actually do pull it off. Most games will actually just fall flat on their face, but this one actually does. Thing is, it wants to be so much that, well, it's the jack of all trades and master of none. No pun intended. That's the problem with it. It's trying to be too much at once, and it kind of hurts it at times. Instead of just focusing on one thing, it makes you want to do everything else. Hoverboarding, mission wise, Grand Theft Auto, climbing, leaping. It does it well, but it doesn't do it fine. It does it okay for what it is. And I think that's what hurts this game at the end of the day. So, with that said, what would I give it? Well, I have to. I'll let you know my rating score because I have to explain it because this will be like the second time or third time I use this rating score. I've been refining it for a while, so this is what it is. I go through one. It's a 1 to 5 score. Anything more than that is kind of just splitting hairs. So, 1 is horrible. Don't touch it. 2 is mediocre. It's fine, but it has way too many problems, and you'll probably like it or not. 3 is average. It's an average thing. It's alright. It has problems, but it's good enough that you could watch it, and you might even enjoy it a lot more. 4 is good, meaning it has a few problems, but it's really good, and well, you're gonna really like it. And 5 is it's perfect. Very few problems, So much good. Let's just say once you're at 5, you can't get any better than that. Honestly, once you're at 4, you're gold, honestly, in my book. Doesn't mean anything lower is bad. With that said, what do I give Jack 2? I give Jack 2 a 3 out of 5. I a recommended 3 out of 5. A would play again 3 out of 5. It's good out of 5. That's the thing. I can't give it. Well, there's parts of me that I could say I could give it a 4, but there's the problems are too glaring that I can't. Now, if you're a big fan, I could see it easily being a 4. I can't give it a 5 period because there's way too many problems. And 4 is the highest, but I have to be objective about this. And yeah, it's a 3. It does everything very well, but yeah, not well enough that it stands out on its own. But with that said, I would tell you to play it. Yeah. If you ever have the chance to play Jack 2, I say play it. It's worth the play. If you have, you can find it on the PS2, 3, and 4, and if you really want to, on the Vita, if you even have one. And there's other ways to play it, like emulation. I won't judge you. But yeah, there's many ways to play this game, and I say it's worth it. A good play. Well, that's it for my review of Jack 2. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, see ya.